Song Ziqiang proudly said, "Of course." At this moment, Song Ziqiang forcefully pulled Qinbai closer and softly whispered near his lips, "But I really look forward to the man who can conquer me appearing. Good luck, Qinbai." Just then, a loud bang came from outside, sounding like a gunshot, which startled the three people inside. They all felt confused. Qinbai quickly looked toward the door and shouted, "That's a gunshot, what's going on?" Bone's eyes showed clear unease. Song Ziqiang looked outside the window and carefully said, "Last night, Commander Huang sent Major Zhao from the Jiangcheng military district to negotiate with me. They have requisitioned part of the cold storage to preserve the corpse mutants and isolated the survivors rescued from the hospital." Qinbai nodded, understanding. So, Song Ziqiang frowned and continued, "This gunshot could only have been done by them, but how could this happen? The corpse tide only has about 30, locked in the cold storage, almost immobile. Our half team is stationed here." Behind Song Ziqiang, Qinbai was anxiously pondering, rubbing his chin in silent thought. The corpse tide becomes sluggish in low temperatures. I didn't expect it to be discovered so quickly, but they surely don't know that the mutation speed of the corpse tide increases in extreme environments. Now, Qinbai pieced together his memory. He calculated in his mind, outer ring cold storage, corpse tide mutation. After some deep thought, Qinbai finally realized, could this be the location of the outer ring bomb? Almost understanding the truth, Qinbai led the way, his eyes fixed ahead as he said to Song Ziqiang and Xiong'er, "Let's go, let's take a look." Inside, he excitedly thought, "Great, I wonder what mutated monsters will appear." Ahead of them was a giant corpse-tide monster, 10 times the size of an ordinary person. It looked like it was formed from several corpse tides, its body covered with tentacles and human faces, looking terrifying. It was attacking the soldiers, who were struggling to resist it, shouting, "Grenades, throw the grenades into its mouth." The grenade was pulled from the fuse and lit up. It flew into the corpse-tide monster's mouth, causing a huge explosion inside its stomach. However, it didn't do much damage but caused the monster to mutate into several swollen, massive round lumps, looking abnormal. It painfully opened its mouth, with arms and legs of other corpse-tide monsters protruding from the holes in its body. After swallowing the grenade, the monster quieted down. Everything seemed to fall silent, with only the gradually dissipating smoke. Now, the soldiers in combat were confused, wondering if it was over. However, they still waited, watching the situation from the smoke. Suddenly, the monster appeared from the smoke, bigger and more terrifying than before. It grabbed a soldier and let out a piercing scream, "Wah!" Facing this situation, the highest commander, Zhao Liancheng, helplessly began issuing orders, "Our weapons can't cause effective damage, everyone break into smaller groups and cooperate with others. Take turns throwing ammo to distract the monster, we must delay until reinforcements arrive. Do you all understand?" From behind the commander, Song Ziqiang walked over and ordered him, "Tell your men to stop throwing grenades, fall back." Upon seeing Song Ziqiang, the commander froze for a moment, confused, and asked, "President Song, what do you mean by that?" Seeing everyone struggling against a giant monster, Song Ziqiang spoke up, her expression serious as she looked at it and said, "What I mean is, you can't risk anymore. Don't let your people die for nothing." Facing this situation, Song Ziqiang could only tell the commander to retreat. Although reluctant, she still said, "Have your men protect my cold storage personnel and the survivors in the hospital, quickly leave here." The commander answered in confusion, "No, this monster is too fast, without someone controlling it, no one will escape." At that moment, a beautiful girl fell to the ground, unable to keep running. She weakly reached out to resist the pressure from the monsters. Corpse tide. The monster's enormous hand was about to strike, potentially killing her on the spot. This girl's name was Lu Li. The situation was extremely urgent, but Song Ziqiang's expression remained calm, not panicked. She said calmly, "Do as I say, Zhao Liancheng need not worry about the monster." Perhaps because she had great confidence in Chen Bai, she was not concerned at all. Finally, she added firmly, "Someone will take care of it." Just as she finished speaking, when the monster's enormous hand was about to strike the fallen girl, it was stopped. Chen Bai, like lightning, blocked the giant hand and used his magic to stop it. Luli was then rescued by the army and sent to a safe place. Chen Bai's appearance was very cool as he blocked the heavy blow, but he casually said, "It was just a reflex, almost sprained my wrist. If it develops this far, it looks like we can't just brute force it." Then, the monster, having missed the attack, angrily swung its giant arm and struck at Chen Bai. Chen Bai's palm began to grow sharp claws made from magic virus. With the help of momentum, Chen Bai jumped onto the monster's huge arm. He tore open some cracks on the arm, catching the monster off guard. It painfully reached its hand out from its eye sockets. After attacking, Chen Bai retreated and landed safely. He balanced himself with his feet, while the monster bled from its skin and paused for a few seconds. The massive monster had many lumps and horrifying human faces on its body. It turned around several times, its face contorted, almost falling down with a pale complexion. It seemed like it couldn't identify its enemy anymore. It swung its arm and turned, then slammed into the wall, successfully destroying it. Upon seeing Chen Bai's abilities, the commander was greatly shocked. He asked, "What is that person? Have you raised a monster?" Song Ziqiang, with a proud expression, blinked and replied, "What are you saying, Zhao Liancheng? He's an ordinary person, he's my partner." Now turning to Chen Bai, he was standing on a pile of meat. The monster's eyes were glowing like fire, looking very eager. While Chen Bai stood there with his hands on his hips, looking majestic as he said, "This one can't be eaten." Purple tentacles emerged from Chen Bai's body, and they were glowing. He was using his evolution and occupation ability. Chen Bai continued, "These are for you, it's too wasteful." The tentacles erupted from the large mound of flesh beneath him, like tree roots, shining brightly. The monster saw all of this and became furious. It swung its fist violently and charged southward. The monster's attack power was strong enough to break through a wall. Its fist looked like it could retract its arm into its armpit. The officers on site and Song Ziqiang were all worried about Chen Bai. How could the protagonist lose to such an ordinary monster? The system interface appeared immediately, and the system notified, "Occupation completed, frozen beef system occupied." Meanwhile, Chen Bai was swiftly dodging the monster's punch in the air. The system continued to display, "Black light. Virus is evolving." His strength and endurance increased slightly, and the monster's pain intensified. At this moment, Chen Bai was extremely clear-headed and handsome. He continued, "As expected of high-grade beef, it not only restores stamina but also levels up. Looks like it's almost consumed." In the air, Chen Bai still maintained his composure. He spun a few times before preparing for his next attack. The monster collapsed to the ground, writhing in intense pain. At this moment, Chen Bai decided to deliver a fatal blow. The viral magic power grew in his hands, forming sharp claws. He turned and accelerated, charging like an unstoppable force, shouting, "It's time for you to die." The monster fearfully covered its eyes with both hands, mumbling and letting out a painful scream. Chen Bai's attack was like a lightning strike, hitting the monster's head hard, causing it to fall to the ground like a large piece of fat meat, shaking the entire area due to its weight. Chen Bai didn't stop. He continued charging forward, directly facing the monster's body, scratching and tearing it with increasing intensity, using his sharp claws. It was a true display of skill, not just about size. Chen Bai silently hid between the monster's two hands, as it began to lose strength and staggered backward. He fought with the monster using his sharp claws of viral magic power. Chen softly spoke in an arrogant tone, just the right time. Then he showcased his evolution and occupation ability, with mutated tentacles extending from his body. Standing in the middle with arms wide open, he controlled the tentacles to grab the monster's enormous hands. The officers witnessing all of this were terrified, pale-faced, sweating, and whispered, "What is that? It's definitely not human." At this point, Chen just smiled and said, "Evolution, everything is too simple for me." Standing on a head 10 times larger than the monster's, Chen made the tentacles expand as much as possible, devouring the massive monster. Perhaps because it was so large, the tentacles moved slightly slower, but no matter what, the monster was in agony, screaming in despair. The officer still couldn't believe his eyes. He muttered repeatedly, "That's definitely not human." For some reason, this officer had an idea. He grabbed the walkie-talkie, his face darkened, and he quietly said, "By the way, while these two monsters are immobile." Song Ziqiang noticed something was off with his expression and immediately turned toward him, alert. This officer didn't consider Chen human. He planned to eliminate him for everyone's safety. He loudly issued a command over the walkie-talkie, "This is old Zhao. Has our reinforcement arrived? I want to request rocket fire, target coordinates are." Before he could finish, Song Ziqiang's long hand gently tapped on his shoulder. The officer turned around, fear on his face. He seemed to realize he had done something wrong. Song Ziqiang calmly and gracefully whispered to the officer, "Stay calm, Zhao Battalion Commander, think carefully. Right now, he's helping us, and he's also helping you." Behind her, Xiao Shui felt uneasy about his way of thinking. Song Ziqiang furrowed her brows, her face showing displeasure, and she gave the officer a warning look, "Don't do anything foolish, don't let everyone end up in a bad situation." 10 minutes later, multiple gun barrels were pointed ahead. Perhaps Song Ziqiang's warning didn't have an effect on the officer. Chen was surrounded by a large group of soldiers, fully armed, wearing bulletproof vests, and surrounded by sandbags. Chen stared at his hands, now the focus of everyone's attention. The officer lifted the walkie-talkie to his mouth and notified all team members, "The bullets are loaded, stay alert." At this moment, Song Ziqiang became a bit angry because he didn't listen to her. She then moved closer to the officer and reminded him, "Captain Zhao, don't forget what you said." The officer's expression became very serious. As he remained fully focused, but still responded to Song Ziqiang, "I know, I won't take action unless that person harms anyone." Ignoring everything around him, Chen lay on his back, enjoying the newly gained power. It felt like entering a secret space full of viral energy. Then, a system prompt appeared, first mutation, obtained zombie Rosen virus. Primary power, gained 500 virus points. System prompt, unlock virus king talent, virus transmission. Chen calmly raised his head, his gaze becoming more determined. Then another system prompt appeared, system prompt, devoured rare mutated creature, zombie Rosen stage 1 power, dark virus ability greatly enhanced. Chen displayed his power, transforming his mutated arm into sharp claws, proudly showcasing his strong ability. A new prompt appeared, system prompt, after decomposition, gained Rosen mutation power, hammer strike ability. As the smoke dissipated, Chen continued to throw a punch to test his strength. Now, after absorbing the zombie monster, he became even stronger. Looking at the changes in his mutated viral powers, Chen noticed his claws had become sharper, and the combat details had become more refined. Chen marveled, "Indeed, the evolution has made a huge improvement. I'm very satisfied now, having the ability to turn one hand into a sharp weapon, while the other expands to provide melee contact force." Looking at his expanded hammer-like arm, Chen thought with satisfaction, "The hammer can feel powerful force, but it's a pity there's nothing to test it on right now." Feeling that it was enough, Chen muttered to himself, "Right, this is the biggest gain today." Then, he decided to retract the tendrils inside his body. Now, he held a red sphere in his hand, with a rubber-like outer layer and many cracks revealing the white inner layer. Chinbai stood with his hands on his hips, focusing on the sphere in his hand, thinking to himself, this rosin almond seed is a very rare material that can be used to craft equipment. If I find a way to control it, I could even build an infinitely growing wall with it. Holding the almond seed in front of his eyes, Chinbai looked at it for a moment, secretly thinking, should I feed it a little? Then try growing a rosin mountain. He didn't care about those who were cautious of him, instead falling into inner turmoil, as many were waiting for his next move. Song Ziqiang walked up and called out, Chinbai. Hearing the sound, Chinbai quickly placed the rosin almond seed into his jacket pocket. She extended her hand and said, let me introduce you. As soon as she finished speaking, a girl in a black tight skirt and shirt approached. She was very beautiful, with long brown hair, and seemed to smile brightly at Chinbai when they first met. At this point, Chinbai also remained polite, crossing his arms and briefly saying a few words about the girl. Luli, I know you. You're very famous in Zhongcheng, and you're also very influential online. Maybe you're the one who secretly filmed at the hospital. Upon hearing this, Luli was very happy and excitedly waved 2 fingers in greeting, then cheerfully said, thank you for saving me twice. Chinbai calmly approached Luli. The girl was a head shorter than him, and he gently lowered his head in response to her thanks, then asked, it's fine, I just killed Rosin, did you record it? Luli, afraid to disappoint him, quietly answered, sorry, it's my professional habit, I can delete it. However, Chinbai wasn't embarrassed, gently saying, keep it, as long as it's not leaked, I have a way to use it. The conversation was interrupted by the officer, who said with an unhappy expression, excuse me, is this Chinbai? Commander Huang from our military district wants you to report everything you know. Hearing this, looking at the officer standing behind the sandbags, Chinbai was speechless and suddenly remembered some past events. Commander Huang Xiang was truly an unforgettable name. After the apocalypse arrived, awakened individuals were treated like dogs and pigs, used without regard. At first, he was comforted by national righteousness, but later it became worse, with insults becoming rampant. Chinbai was one of them, living in despair every day, unable to even get food. Ridiculously, anyone trying to leave would be accused of treason. Then, they would chase them down until they were forced to leave Zhongcheng. Back to the present, Chinbai turned to Song Ziqiang and asked, Boss Song, do I need to go for the handover? At this moment, Song Ziqiang lowered her voice, glanced at the stern officer, and coldly said, of course not, I don't know anything yet. Chinbai smiled faintly and whispered, that's good. Song Ziqiang turned and walked forward, her demeanor proud and authoritative. She spoke, got it, let me handle this. Song Ziqiang walked gracefully towards the officer. Before she could speak, he hurriedly opened his mouth, Mr. Chen, Boss Song hopes you will fulfill your duties as a citizen of Longhua. The sound of Song Ziqiang's red high heels stopping sharply echoed as she stood by a wall, stacked with sandbags. She looked at the officer with sharp eyes, her face angry and serious. In a stern tone, she said, what nonsense are you talking? Don't speak to me like that. Even the captain doesn't deserve to talk to me. Go tell Director Huang Xiang to come to me if there's anything. The officer was left completely speechless, only able to stammer, I. Before he could say anything, a subordinate hurriedly ran over and reported, Captain, the staff in the isolation area are causing trouble. What should we do? Just then, Chen Bai, who also needed information on the isolation personnel, stepped between them and asked the subordinate, the staff in the isolation area? Is there someone named Lu Feng there? Although he didn't like it, the officer gritted his teeth and turned to the subordinate, asking, is there? The subordinate could only answer in confusion, yes, he's the one causing the most trouble. Chen Bai now turned seriously to the officer and said directly, Captain, I want to meet this Lu Feng.